And we're live.
And we're live.
Yes, we are. And this is episode 26.
Nice.
Welcome to Spoken Openness.
Welcome.
So, we're starting with a quote.
Nice. What do we got?
And here it goes, okay? By the way, Buckminster Fuller said this.
Nice.
He said, "Sometimes I think we're alone. Sometimes I think we're not. In either case, the thought is quite staggering." End quote. Yes. What do you think about that?
Well, something that I just thought about was that could be applied also to consciousness in some way, just in terms of collective consciousness versus individual consciousness, even though I think
Yes, I
what
agree.
he's talking about is aliens.
Aliens.
Yeah.
But I agree that can be applied to any of the big mysteries. Any of the big either-ors.
Yeah, and whether or not the we being singular or even collectively, I think in this sense, the we is we humans or we on Earth.
We on Earth.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that raises a question, the big question. Is there life on other planets?
Mm-hmm.
Not only life or living things, but intelligent things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was gonna say something about this. So this makes me think about. I mean, so much in the news. There's so much in the news.
There's so much.
there's so
much there.
There's so much info, like especially in the last, and we've talked about this, but I mean in the last 6 years, I want to say, or maybe more, it's just gone into this crazy fever pitch where there's just so much news, there's so much changing, like the news cycle is like
And news are everywhere now.
Everywhere.
Everything, every platform has some sort of new information that you need to digest, look for.
So, yeah, and one of the weird things I think that happened was, so I remember there was a Tom DeLonge thing with the To the Stars Academy. So there was this academy that, I don't even know what it is. But this,
Please tell us about it.
There's this
the Stars Academy.
There was this group that was created with people who had just left or are still a part of, like like really inside defense department and military and like people who have been apparently privy to like projects. Not black book projects, but like under like crazy sign this, what are they called? High clearance crazy projects.
Yeah, top secret stuff.
Yeah, so like people are in this group and they seem to have had history that would be somewhat legit for representing a military side of it. And then all of a sudden, then you've got like Tom DeLonge from Blink-182, who somehow is a part of this. And then they came out with stories. I forget how many years ago this was. They came out with stories where they're like, we have authorization to start declassifying military encounters with, the new phrase is UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, I think.
Yeah.
Is the new term.
That makes sense.
Because they don't want to say UFO. So they're saying like they're saying UAPs, and these guys were coming out and they're like, yeah, we're allowed, we've been given the okay to start declassifying. We've got some videos, and they start putting out videos, and they put out these 2 videos that I think lots of people have just seen casually of like, UFOs spinning, and they're from aircraft, and people are going crazy, and they're defying what people know would be possible with technology that we have.
And the pilots don't have a clue of what they're.
The pilots don't have a clue. Nobody has a clue what they're watching, what's happening. And I remember this happening, and like nothing Like, nobody cared. Nobody cared about this. I just remember
when they exposed this.
When they exposed this. And so,
okay,
here's my thing, okay? It doesn't matter whether or not those are aliens or not. There's two.
What is it?
There's basically two possibilities. One possibility is that the U.S. military itself has compartmentalized itself so much, and they have trillions of dollars. You always have people coming out going like, we don't know where trillions of dollars are.
Yeah, top secret projects, technology, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So either because of that, there's maybe one of those projects that's developed technology that is way beyond what we have knowledge about.
Totally.
As citizens or whatever. Which, if that's true, then they've solved the energy crisis. They've solved, like, that would change the world immediately. If that was true, if they had that, they could fix unbelievable amounts of many of the problems that the world has. With that technology. So that's one option, is that they created these things, this technology. Okay. I guess there's more than two options. The second option.
Yeah, I was gonna go there. It's more than two options.
Okay.
Let's stick with those two.
Okay.
Try to figure it out from there.
Okay, I guess within that first category. Okay, first category.
Depending on how crazy we want to get, we could have more options.
And also, I suppose, how specific you want these options to be. So the first option could be that it's terrestrial and that a country has developed this technology, U.S. or not.
Right. It's not an outsider.
And it's real. Yeah. And the second option is that it's from outer space.
Sure. It's an outsider. So it's either an outsider or not an outsider.
It's either an outsider, an insider, or it's not real.
Yes.
And it's not real. What's that conspiracy project? Bluebeam, or it's or I don't know. It's just an edit to make for something. Maybe they want other countries to be like, whoa.
It's an inception, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like predictive programming of some sort. That's another option. If we want to get very crazy, which I don't think we should, but I might go into like it's us in some other dimension trying to cross the threshold of the third dimension and appearing in this dimension for a little while. So it's us in the future.
Yeah, I like that.
Be.
I like that theory, but I think it's fun.
Yeah,
it's just fun.
So let me go here, okay? Okay. I mean, it's not going somewhere else. Let me introduce a thought.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this is a quote. This is a legit quote, but I'm just gonna say it as I think it. Okay.
Sure.
Any technology that is indistinguishable from current phenomena will be labeled as magic. And maybe the alien tag is like saying, well, that's magic because we can't understand that. So, so in this,
not indistinguishable,
in this understanding, different. Right, different.
Yeah.
Yes.
That doesn't.
Or too advanced, or right, way ahead.
We can't explain it.
You can't explain because you can't link it to your current understanding of how technology works. Right?
Yeah.
And so you'll be like, whoa, this is magic, surprise, this happened.
Yeah.
Or what is this? And you're excited.
Yeah.
Because we just don't know everything.
Yeah.
And actually, as we discussed previously, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. So the more you know that you know very, very little.
I think the main thing about the video, or one of them, is the spinning one, is that it's traveling at such a fast speed that a regular engine propulsion system cannot explain for it being able to spin and have no resistance and maintain its speed as it spins while traveling really, really, really fast.
Yeah.
Like with an engine, you would see the resistance of the air, and then slow. It would. I don't know anything, and so
So any physicist would
I'm
say
sounding like
that's
an idiot.
impossible.
Yeah,
Right.
if
Any
the
physicist
speeds
would say
if
that
the speeds
that's
were
not.
correct, and all the, like, if the meters, and they weren't lying about how fast and all that stuff.
Yeah. So what happens when you encounter phenomena that it's totally outside the
Yeah.
measurable, understandable
Yeah, anomalies.
limitations?
Yeah.
So it's either labeled as yeah, metaphysical phenomena. We have ghosts, we have aliens,
Right.
we have higher beings, we have deities.
We've got everything.
We have yeah. One of my favorites are the mechanic elves.
Sure. If you think about what's that place called, Skinwalker Ranch? You know that place?
Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, there's like
Not
a
at the moment. I think I've
okay.
Okay, what is
There's
it?
like a ranch that has a history of being this like super paranormal place, and this guy named Robert Bigelow and was it NIDS, or this group bought the place for like, and was like studying it, and claimed that all these different things happen, and there might have been a military connection in some way. I can't remember, but it was like, they're claiming to see everything, all these different things, lights in the sky, these creatures coming out of the ground, and like haunting people, and just like all of these, I think, yeah, it's all these all these crazy things. So yeah, anomalies are hard to
I do think there's a lot about the world that we have no clue about.
For sure.
But also, I think our imaginations are very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And that scares me.
Yeah.
Because you can't really trust someone's theory about X or Y thing that no one understands. Yeah. So even going into aliens, we don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are we talking about reptilians? Are we talking about grays? Are we talking about those guys? Are we talking about physical people that kind of look like humans?
Yeah. I'm talking about the Nords. Never mind. I don't know.
The Anunnakis.
The Anunnaki. Dude, great name for a band. Just kidding. Anunnaki. Sounds like a Japanese post-rock band.
There's probably a band with that name out there.
Yeah, another thing that I think about with this whole thing is the in the 70s or 80s or when there was a guy that they convinced was seeing aliens, even shining lights. And there's a movie about this. It's called Mirage Man. There's a documentary about this. It's called Mirage Man. So anything I say, it's probably incorrect, but Mirage Men talks about this, and it talks about how a massive wave, like a lot of the UFO phenomena in culture, occurred because, and this is the claim, is because disinfo agents convinced enough people that they were getting insider info about aliens, and convinced them that they were real, and then they became these loud-spoken proponents that aliens were real and that they had insider info, and and then it spread this crazy fever pitch about aliens and alien lore and culture, and about the government, and about they had aliens and were working on technology, and they were back engineering and creating all these things, and that documentary is crazy. And the guy, one of the guys who did the stuff, who was the person doing the convincing of, what's his something Doty or so what's his name?
I don't know the guy's name.
Do you see it? Hold on, I'm just gonna find this really quick.
Yeah.
No, I can't find it really quick. Rorty or something. Rick Doty. Rick Doty.
Rick Doty.
So this guy Rick Doty was the person who was convincing other people that they had seen aliens.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was his job. And he talks about it, and he says that one of the things that they look for, well, not look for, but yeah, they look for someone who will be excited who won't believe that they're getting insider info. They look for someone who will get so excited, they bring them in, they sit them down, they say, listen, look, you've uncovered something a little bit, and we need to tell you what it really is. And blah, 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 blah. Okay. And you sit there, and they have a binder, and they tell you, look, this is what's been happening for years. And you're sitting there like, oh, my God, I'm getting the real info from the military and whatever.
Yeah.
And that makes them so convinced and so convincing and that they're privy to this information. And that's what I think Tom DeLonge is. That's what I think he's that guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Why else would they choose? Why else would they choose a singer of a punk band to be the spokesperson for this organization, and to have him surrounded by, in this theory, they would be still involved and like his handlers almost, to be my higher ups have been we've been told that we're allowed to disclose this information now, and we're going to tell you about it, and then we're allowed to disclose it to everybody, but and telling him all these things. That's just I just don't understand why he would be selected. And then if that's the case, then it would be okay. Yeah. Then it is a lie, and they're trying to make the technology that the U.S. military already has and make it look like it's aliens, so nobody. And this documentary was about the Mirage Men. That's why they were convincing people they saw aliens, was because if they saw military tests in the sky or they saw planes, that they wouldn't be like, oh, wow, our military has these things. They wanted it to stay confusing and like, oh, maybe it's aliens then.
Yeah.
Which, if that's true, that's option one. And then it's like, well, let's solve the energy crisis then.
But we have to take their word for it. I mean, it's kind of funny how they called it a disclosure, but it's basically them just standing on a podium and reading you a story. They're showing no evidence. In most cases, they're showing no backup to the claim, but it's a disclosure. So you have to take their word for it. I mean, the whole thing is pretty...
They're putting out some videos, I guess.
And
if you the thing about UFOs is if you don't have video, then it's just a story.
Yes, and that video is pretty powerful. That happened about, I guess, more than 15 years ago now. And
but I mean, the whole you can find stories from military people around the world of them saying like this happens all the time. We see these things all the time. We encounter these types of things. The Tic Tac thing, the Tic Tac story. There was an article a week ago that the U.S. military said that the Navy said they were surrounded by things for a week. Hold on, this was like recent.
Yo, that Tic Tac video,
dude. This is 5 days ago. 5 days ago, Tic Tac shaped drones swarmed Navy destroyers for like a week. That's what they're saying. This is Popular Mechanics. Yeah.
And did you hear about the disclosure at the end of the COVID bill?
Yeah.
Is that not incredibly crazy that's a thing?
Yeah.
How is that possible? I have no idea how.
I know how that's possible.
Hide. Yeah. Okay.
Of course.
I'd like to hear that.
Well, if you're writing these bills and you're reading stories about oh, the Navy is saying they're surrounded by aliens or unidentified aerial phenomena for a week and they're whatever, and you haven't been read in or you don't know what's happening, then you're like, we're legislators. We want to know what's happening. So whatever bill we're writing right now, let's put it in so that they have to tell us about what's happening. Because like all these stories are coming out. That I understand it. I mean, that would make sense to me.
But why hide it at the end of a pandemic focused deal?
Because you're not going to get the initiative to like get everyone together, have meetings, and start
otherwise it wouldn't pass.
A whole new bill just for that. Well, maybe it would, but like,
Got it.
Yeah, it's.
I'm not sure about that, but it was like a three. And I have no idea, obviously, but I think it was like a very long document.
Yeah, no, I know.
And they had like less than 3 days or 2 days to read it.
Yes, of course. It's always like that. But
okay.
I mean, the way I understand is they're always trying to fit stuff into these massive bills that aren't associated. But it's because they don't. Yeah. There's no time or there's no like the amount of effort and time to make its own thing. It just wouldn't happen because there's always other things that are more important to the zeitgeist and to what people consider to be important. They're not going to be like, oh, we just finished the coronavirus this bill and now we're going to spend a month of meetings and talking to people of slowly drafting like a bill about alien disclosure. Like, yeah. Totally. So they're like, we want this to happen. We want to know what's happening. So let's put it in this bill so that it's at least it's going to happen. And then we can. It is weird though. Yeah.
Hopefully it happens.
What was it again? Do you remember? It was like 180 days or something.
Yeah, something like that. I don't think that's. I don't think they have disclosed anything related to that yet. But it's not that, like I'm actively waiting for the drop.
Yeah, I mean this story is 5 days ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So do you have an opinion, guess, an attempt of explanation about this? Or are you standing more on one side or the other? Outsider,
it's
insider,
military. It's military.
Crazy technology.
I think it's military.
Yeah, I think it's human technology.
I think it's somebody's military.
Just don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody's military.
Not the U.S. necessarily.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. Could be China. Could be
Russia.
Who knows? Yeah.
Sure.
No, I just
think it's way more likely that it's insider than outsider. I mean, I do think the alien explanation, it's a little bit like the magic explanation.
Well, yeah, and it's like I just don't buy that any advanced civilization or alien civilization would show up to Earth exactly the way that we've depicted them to show up in our movies and books and you know what I mean? Like like I don't think
Have you seen those old paintings?
I don't think they would show up. I don't think they would show up and have bodies that were similar to bodies as we would expect it, or maybe their whole evolution from matter would have been different. I think I don't even know what shape or not shape or energy conscious energy systems or like I just think I just don't think they would show up in a spaceship that could be shot down. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you know, I don't know.
I was just thinking that the fact that the most popular alien character has a very big brain and a very thin body.
The Greys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But without going into classification, I would say like most kids, most kids that draw an alien would draw that, and like most people that think of an alien, like most representations of aliens are gray-like.
Dude, the most important thing we do here is get the classifications of aliens correct.
To be specific. We need to categorize.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the insectoids.
I don't know what that is.
I
The
think
insectoids.
they're the praying mantis aliens. They look like praying
Oh,
mantises,
dude, beautiful.
and they have
Yes.
and they have
yeah.
and they're tall and
And their eyes are so trippy.
yeah,
But let me finish the thought about the big head and thin body. Okay,
they're great. Sorry,
I was just gonna round
I'm
it up.
not very
by
focused.
talking about I don't know, like brain chips, Neuralink type brain chips.
Yeah.
If
Robots.
we start going there a little bit, like slowly going there, then
Yeah.
we might get to a point where we have like such a big brain, big head with a computer inside.
Yeah.
And since we do everything
Okay, but hold on. I already
telepathically and digitally,
No.
our bodies start getting thinner because the real world, like we don't need much strength for the real world.
And the sun, we
thinking
wear
about, like,
sunglasses because the sun has become blah blah blah. Yeah, I've heard. Yeah,
Dude, yeah, and just trippy that it kind of makes that theory kind of makes sense that our bodies would evolve like in thousands of years, and then we would have the technology to visit back, and it's actually us. It's not an outsider. You know what I mean?
I love that theory. I love it
story,
because it's fun, but I don't necessarily.
But it also makes sense on a technological level.
Not really.
Right now.
Not really, because the idea that our brains are going to get bigger because we have to make space for technology in there, I think is like ridiculous, because technology is already minuscule and tiny and getting smaller every day. The idea that it's going to need a big space to have a big brain, a big old brain computer is like the idea that we're putting 90s like desktop like towers in our head. Like,
you're right. Nanotechnology would would just
we got spaceships. We're not putting like a Dell tower in our head.
Since we're starting to intervene with the brain and starting to put additional pieces of tech and physical thing inside the brain, I mean, you need more space. Except if you have nanotechnology, then you don't.
I like the theory that they're drones. I like the theory that they're not us from the future. They're still part of us from the future, but that we've sent drones, that they're humanoid-like drones that are like
robots, basically.
hive mind robots. Yeah. Organic robots. I like because
I like that too, man.
Totally. Because people in encounters, which we could talk about, they always, like, for some reason they're always getting pulled up to the mothership to be probed in the rear. But it's true. It's true. But
okay, so
but they always say that they don't speak. They're telepathically communicating, and they don't show facial expressions. They all kind of just like look around. They all understand what's happening. That's what everyone.
They can read your mind, bro.
They can read your mind, but also they don't show expression. You know, because they're drones.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have emotion. It's all algorithms.
But I also like the theory. Okay, and I'm just going with the theories that I've heard.
Okay.
This is the last one that I think is the most interesting to me, which is that alien experiences, because they're so similar to like Rick Strassman's work of people's experiments with dimethyltryptamine. And because of the theory that maybe is incorrect, that it's released while we sleep in some way and might have something to do with dreams, that people who have alien encounters, because they always happen at night, they're endogenous dumps of too much dimethyltryptamine, and they basically see aliens. And
the dream state gets crazy, and you basically think you got abducted.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense. I do think that's a possibility. And also,
maybe the most logical.
If it's not a big DMT dump, it could also be a very strange dream. And I mean, people do all kinds of drugs before going to bed. You have no idea what they're using, what their lifestyle is, and I mean, dreams do get crazy. I do also think that lucid dreams have a way more DMT release involved in them. I don't know why, but it seems to me that that's the case.
That makes sense if that was
makes
what
sense
happened.
So it would seem real, just like a very vivid dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also
So, yeah.
be terrifying. Well, yeah, because
Totally.
it would feel real, definitely.
Yeah, but also what's up with all these people claiming that they're actually communicating with the same beings? Have you seen this? Like people
No.
doing DMT in a group state, in a group like manner, and they're trying to access the same reality in their unique trips.
Okay, well, already
They're claiming they're claiming they're accessing every time they trip. They're accessing the same entities, and they're getting to know them more, just a little bit more every trip.
I would say that anybody that spends their time getting into a group with other people and with the intention of doing that is already going to be highly questionable about trusting whether or not phenomena is occurring, or they've put themselves into some sort of cult, like very like
Yeah,
out
I mean, they
out
want
of
it
it.
to happen, and they get together and
Yeah.
and create their own stories.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't know anything about that, but I will say one of the crazy things is that, like, all right, so even if it was even if all these people claiming to have seen aliens are having an endogenous dimethyltryptamine dump while they're trying to sleep and are experiencing some sort of, I don't know, hallucination. We don't even know what that is. But then you still have to go, well, why does that happen? And why is that the experience that you have when, like, if everything is just a chemical reaction and then your imagination responding to that chemical change and then showing imagery, why is it that?
Why is that imagery?
Why
Are
is
those
that
the
the
archetypes in
imagery?
Why is not just a sleep paralysis or some sort of weird
Yeah.
sleep phenomena that doesn't involve an abduction to
or
an
or
other planet?
anything else? Yeah.
Right? Yeah, or anything else.
Or anything else. Yeah. It's like that doesn't make any sense. It's the biggest mystery. Nobody seems to care that we endogenously create something that will guaranteed seem in studies to guarantee to give people alien abduction experience or just alien encounter experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we make that in our body all the time?
Is that a part of the human story since the beginning of time? Maybe it's so engraved in our cultural stories that we start hearing about that from a very early childhood.
What part? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the alien imagery,
Got
and
it.
the alien idea, the outsider idea.
Got it.
Everything that's alien, it just means that you
Yeah.
don't understand it. It's
Yeah.
it's totally different from your own worldview.
Yeah, well, you could say it's similar to, like the talk of like fairies or fairy folklore, or you could, or
Gnomes. I don't know what the
gnomes. Yeah,
gnomes. Hmm.
yeah. All these different like creatures of history that people have invented.
Yeah, fantastic creatures.
Fantastic.
Fantasy.
Yeah. What is that?
What is that, bro?
Yeah.
I had a friend that his grandma said they were fairies at his house, and she believed that. And I
always there, or she saw them once, or
living there.
Living.
She sees them every once in a while when they want her.
Really?
Yes.
What do they want?
It was a big house, old house, and I knew I spoke a couple of times to his grandma, and she wasn't a crazy person per se. I mean,
yeah,
most old people kind of, if you're young and they talk to you about anything you don't understand, you're like, who is this crazy person, right? But other than, and I never heard her say anything like that. I mean, my friend said that to us in a confidential manner, obviously. but I'm sure, I mean, a lot of people can relate. I mean,
Yeah. People. Yeah. People.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's part of the paranormal. That's part of the paranormal, like, and people, that's related more to like people think interdimensional beings traveling and manifesting in this dimension. That's, you kind of mentioned something like maybe there's other dimensions where it's us coming through. There's also theory where it's like us, our future selves in this dimension coming back in time. And to what? Why would we do that?
To prevent some future catastrophe, to warn us,
really,
to speed up certain processes.
Why are we so bad? Why do we always why do we always crash or just fly by the Navy 20 times?
It's all trial and error. So most of things that happen are trial and errors, and
we haven't nailed it yet.
We haven't really found a way to. I mean, I don't know.
There's a future human who looks like
stuff going on right now.
There's a future human who looks like a gray alien inside of a Tic Tac spacecraft flying around the U.S. Nimitz or a Navy ship for 2 weeks, like clicking on his computer, like, why are we just flying around this Navy ship? We can't. We need to change course.
Yeah.
This is not,
But they start clicking buttons randomly, and maybe you end up in a different dimension. That's what happens if you didn't take the piloting course.
Yeah. The dimension piloting course, that probably creates a lot of G's.
Yeah.
You seen those videos?
Threshold switching.
Have you seen those videos of astronauts training totally. And their faces crazy? Can you imagine
some of them pass out? Yeah.
The dimension traveling test is probably pretty funny too.
The threshold crossing test.
That's crossing test.
Gonna be painful, man. Yeah.
Man.
I like the idea of tools that you can use as a dimension ship, as a dimension vehicle. I really like that idea, and I don't really know why.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
I have no idea what I'm talking about.
The tools that you can use to dimension shift?
Yes, if that's the thing. Like people that use
what?
Like I'm not advertising for any drug use, but people that claim that they're using drugs to travel to a different dimension, if I would if that was a thing, I like that idea.
Why?
You know what I mean? Like, because I like travel. So the fact that you can travel somewhere real.
Because if that
were real, if I didn't.
I love packing my suitcase and going to.
Yeah, exactly. I love travel. So if psychedelic travel was real travel, I would travel almost every day. And if it had no consequences on my physical and mental state, I would travel.
There's consequences. Yeah, from everything I've read, there's consequences.
I'm sorry, kids. This is all hypothetical talk, obviously.
Yeah, just read Rick Strassman's book on.
Just read,
dude. Just read Rick Strassman's. Just read Rick Strassman's book on the experiments that he did, and I think there's no question of whether or not there are consequences.
There's no question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs, kids. I mean, also we kind of all do drugs, and so just kidding. Drugs are everywhere, and
here's
food
the thing.
Is drugs. No, just not.
Here's the thing. One thing that's proposed is that DMT in our minds could be released. It's like maybe our reality constant. It's released to the degree that we stay in this pocket where we can, where things are the way they are and they seem that they are the way they are, and we can interact with the world. We can pick things up and move them and they stay the same shape, and everything is all right. Everything is this reality. maybe that's the function, and any more or any less, and you can't exist around because perception is too crazy. Like I don't know what else. I don't know what else. I don't know what else it could be. Like there's just theories about what it's there for, what the use is, but nothing really makes sense. Nothing really makes sense for why something like that is in our own mind or generated by our
read
bodies.
recently that they are finding out that it's not only produced in the brain, like they are finding it in other organs, and it's in like a large percentage of the plants that are, a large percentage. The whole glandular system is mind-blowing, and the fact that we have glands and that they produce chemicals, and that not only DMT, but if you're talking about
anything,
dopamine, it's such a strong chemical that we need every day, and we're unconsciously looking for all the time. And so
one of my favorite Terence McKenna quotes is, I'm gonna get this wrong, people don't walk around saying I'm loaded on meat, sugar, and alcohol, but they are. Or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
meat, sugar, alcohol, coffee.
Yeah, it's like the idea is like
that's what I meant when I said we're all using drugs.
I know that's what you meant. We've talked about it, but everything shapes consciousness. Everything, and you don't think about. Everyone thinks about the whole thing of like, well, we're a alcohol society, and we've said that that's okay, and we've said other things are not okay, and that and that it's not. It's. I think a lot of people think or know that. Well, it's not because it's safe. It's not legal or allowed or culturally, promoted because it's safe. It's like one of the biggest causes of death in various ways.
Totally.
But you think about it's interesting to think about societies as collections of individuals that have decided this is what consciousness altering things we use, not just alcohol or whatever, but meat, sugar, alcohol, coffee. These are the ways that we alter our consciousness and perceive the world. And that it's not like, when if you do a long fast, and this is just my experience, if you've done a long fast, one of the things that you experience is, I didn't realize my consciousness was so altered all the time by eating and by what we consume. And that it's hard to recognize that, or I didn't recognize that just from my personal experience until you're completely without, and then it's a totally different observational experience or felt sense of present
the felt presence of immediate
the felt sense of never mind.
What was it? I said that last cast. Anyway. So that made me think about as you very well mentioned, these things they affect consciousness, and chemicals affect consciousness.
The felt presence of direct experience.
Direct experience, yes. I love that.
Yeah.
So chemicals affect consciousness, and
fact.
I want to make a comparison with language, how language and words affect consciousness as well, and they shape it. And they shape your worldview. And we've talked a lot about that. This is one of the main things we touch on regularly, I guess, on language. But if I would say that for the most part of human history, and maybe this is starting of a wave
Sounds like a big
for
claim,
the next
right?
one.
Yeah.
For the most part of human history, language has remained unintervened, ungoverned, or
What do you mean by
what am I
that?
saying? By governments, like
Regulated.
unregulated. Thank you, bro. Thanks for helping me out there.
No problem. No problem. Anytime.
Maybe that claim is not true, but in my idea right now,
Yes.
language for the most part has remained free. We've all shared some sort of free speech idea that you can think, like thinking and saying things out loud are not the same as actions. You can't punish in the same way thoughts and ideas as actions. That's my claim right now. And where I'm going at is, why do we...
But, okay.
Yeah, okay. Rounding it up, okay? Because it's a complex idea, and I'm trying my best to keep it simple.
I would say the standard throughout history was that people were killed or outcast for what they said or thought throughout history. That's the common. That's the the most common, I think.
Now that you say that, that totally makes sense. And I guess comparing that to, because we were talking about how chemicals shape consciousness, and that made me think about how we control chemicals as a society, and we prevent grown-ups from using certain chemicals at their will without hurting other people. And so I was just thinking that we mainly do that because chemicals shape consciousness, and it's a way to control mass consciousness if certain people are not using certain chemicals, right? If we start going there with language in a more control-like manner, I'm kind of starting to see a very doomed future for consciousness evolution and growth. So,
I see. I kind of get it. I get the connection. Usually I would try to sum up some of the things that I'll remember about a podcast. I don't remember what we talked about, so I will just say I appreciate the convo, and it was a fun one.
Fun convo, yeah.
I'm happy.
Aliens exist.
Aliens exist.
In your mind.
Everyone go listen to that Blink-182 song, and think about the fact that years later, he's the guy that the military or the government decided was okay to release videos of aliens. Anyways.
Allegedly, right?
Allegedly.
I mean, we don't know he was chosen.
Is anyone not chosen in that degree?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, thank you,
right.
sir.
Thanks for the time.
Thanks for the time. This was Spoken Openness, episode 26. Peace.
Beautiful. Peace out.